Hi guys, this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter, and today I'm gonna show you a little project share. I'm gonna work on a card here and I'm going to walk you through what I'm doing, and you guys will get to see me making a little card. And this is with the little girl from Santoro, London, Gorgeous Girls, and it's called number 57 Little Heart. And I thought she was a very sweet little image to work with, so I've stamped her out, as you can see here, and I've colored her in using some Nuvo markers in the pinks, and also the cream colors, the light beige colors for her skin tone, and then some Spectrum Noir markers in grays. There's 3 tones of gray there for her hair, and then I use a Jelly Roll pen in silver for her bow. So I like how that image came out, and what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to use my dies that I have here to one side. It's the Memory Bookmaker die set, and you guys are probably very familiar with these if you've seen my other videos. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to find one that fits the size of this little girl. And sometimes, let's see here, I like to see which one to use here. I might go with the smaller one and then frame her out with the larger one behind. There's something about it that's really pretty to me. It almost looks like a book page, depending on how you use it, or just like a pretty label almost. So I've used a little bit of washi tape there. I've gone ahead and cut out all of the other pieces that I intend to use on this card. So I'm going to walk you through that. And what I did was that I cut out with one of the larger dies that has this gorgeous edge here. Okay, and that's this one here. Let me show you, just in case you're curious. So the die looks like this. I've cut that out twice with heavyweight white cardstock, and if you see, it also does that little stippling edge there. And then using another die set, which is the Tonic Craft Kit number 15, I went ahead and used this one. This is for a book cover, or you can use it as a book cover, but you can actually do lots of different things with that. I've gone ahead and cut that out in pink there, and that's going to go on the inside of my card. And then also using the Craft Kit number 15, I used a different die from that collection that cuts like this. And that's just a little rectangle that I'm going to layer there. That's my little sandwich there. Now using the same die that I was just referring to, I cut this piece out here. And if you're curious as to the size of these, this one measures 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. 3 5/8. This is pink paisley paper that I absolutely love. And then I'm using Maggie Holmes. This is called Chasing Dreams for this paper, and I really like it because it has these beautiful sentiments on here, even though most of them will be covered up, but this is going to layer on top, and then that's going to layer there. The first thing that I want to do before I even start that is that I'm going to determine how my card will open. And I think that I want this card to open on this side, even though I had originally thought to open it from the top. But because I want to kind of, you know, bulk it up quite a bit, I think I'm going to have it open on the side. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scoreboard. So I'm using my Martha Stewart scoreboard here. And what I'll do is I'll line up my paper. Let's see here. In order to do this, I'm going to try to ignore the little scallops for just a moment, and then just go here at 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to just follow that line there very gently, because even though this is strong paper, I don't want to pierce through it. And what I'm doing is, of course, making sure that it is lined up on the top and on the side here, so I get a straight line. And then that way I can score it more than once. Okay, so that's going to allow me to fold that. You see that there, and this is what's going to adhere to my bottom card here, if you will. And like I said, this is going to layer here. So I need to make sure that that's adhered before I place my top page. Okay, we'll start with our base. I found an embossing folder here that I think will look really sweet with this, and this is just a very old Cuttlebug folder, and this one is, I believe it's Swiss dots, if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this in here, and I'm going to run that through my machine to emboss it. Here I've embossed my piece of paper using the Cuttlebug folder, and you're going to see now why I wanted to do that. Look at the texture on that. And it makes it look like, you know, a more substantial piece of paper. And if you want to, you can ink the edges. I'm going to keep it simple and leave it as it is. So I'm just going to adhere this down, as I said before. I'm going to start from my back page going forward. So just adding some adhesive here, and I'm using Scotch adhesive. So I'm going to extend that a bit, so I put too much in that one little corner. And grab my baby wipe. There we go. Being careful here to center this. So I'm placing that paper there. And I love that texture. So this one's going to be the plain one, and this one will go on top here. And this is where I'll be able to write my sentiment. And the little lines that were there to guide me are gone because I embossed the paper, but I'm not concerned about that because it'll still look fine. And I wanted to be a little bit generous with the adhesive this time around because of the fact that the paper underneath is embossed. So sometimes you want to add a little bit more adhesive. Okay, so now I have this piece here, and like I had shown you, I went ahead and scored it, so I'm going to only place adhesive there. I'm going to use dry adhesive to take that as close to the edge there as I can. And I'm going to double that up because this is only 1/4 of an inch wide. And you can also use a bone folder here if you like. I think I got a little bit of my sweater on that. Okay, so I'm taking off the backing from this adhesive now in order to be able to adhere it to my base here. So what I'll do is I'll line it up first on this edge over here to make sure that my card matches perfectly, because sometimes it can get a little bit askew. So once I have it placed directly on top, now I'm going to press down on that side. Okay. Here we go. So now I have my front cover and the inside of my card. And now I'm going to layer the pieces on top. So here goes this one. And you can shimmer this up if you want to. I'm going to also make sure that these little pieces come out. There we go. If you're making a masculine card, the backside of this paper is blue and white, or even a feminine card. So if you prefer this side, you could use that too. But for this card, I'm going to use the text here. So I think I'm going to continue on with the dry adhesive, just to make it easier. Okay, so this one's going to go here, and I had thought to put this one on top, but I also have a decorative element here that I want to add to this. And what I've done here is that I took some raffia and I cut it down. Here's my raffia that I used. Okay, so I cut it down to 4-inch strips, and I cut a total of 8 of these. All right. And then what I did was that I adhered them in the center onto a circle. Okay, and I made sort of this little sunshine element here. What I also did was that, aside from that, and I wanted to put this up here, on, kind of there on that side, I have this circle cut out in gold, and I want to place that here, kind of like a whimsical little scene here. And then here's my little girl that I cut out. And then I have this little camera and a sentiment that I cut, stamped out. It says true friendship lasts forever, and that's going to go right here in the center. But I want it to be behind this little camera because this is what I want to put on top there, which is why I didn't want it to be completely straight because it's not an actual nature scene. So to get this going, I'm going to place adhesive as close to the center as possible. And this little die, if you haven't already seen it, I've used it before in other projects, and it is a little camera die from Tim Holtz. The stamp is from the kit number 15 from Tonic Studios. Okay, so I'm just adhering that there, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut the excess here. Okay, so now that's inside the little camera, and I'm going to back that up with another one because I want it to be nice and sturdy. And that's just personal preference, but I don't like to leave my die cuts, you know, too exposed. So there's that, and I believe I had, okay, here it is, I found it. So the piece that would layer here is actually pink, and I think I'm going to go ahead and add that there. So this was just another one that I cut out because this has a very fine tip and it makes it a little easier. And I'm using my tweezers here to pick this up. Makes it much more accurate. And these are the extra little steps that if you take, then, you know, your little die cuts end up looking a little bit more personalized, I think. And I'm also going to add these little leaves here because they have a little bit of shine, and I cut those out using a different die. And it is vellum, and it has gold spray on it. So I'm just going to add these two guys right there. And I'm going to also embellish this. So I'm going to add this little gem right there. Okay, to give it a little bit of shine. Okay, so I'm adding that little pearl right there, and I think that finishes off that little camera quite nicely. There we go. Okay, so now I can start adding this to the front here of my card. So what I've done here is I've placed a little gold circle on top of that little rosette that I made, and this is a flatter rosette than you would be able to make, you know, with the hills and valleys. So I'm just going to continue adhering these pieces of paper here. And this is going to be a little bit lower. I think I'm concentrating on letting the heart sentiment stand out a little bit more. This one will go here. So I'm just going to continue layering like that. And this little girl I had thought to pop up, so I'm not going to adhere her just yet. I'm going to put this one here. I have this little candy heart. It says you and me. I thought to put that there. And I also have some flowers. So I was thinking of putting these maybe on this end, like so. And I like to work in groups of 3s. So maybe she can have a little flower down here also, close to her feet. Don't want to cover up too much of that image. I think I need something like a little sprig or something. So I'm going to look in my stash and see what's going to work with this to make the look that I'm going for, and then I'll be right back. Alright, I wanted to make some decisions here. So what I've done is that I cut out this piece using, again, the same collection of dies out of the back of this same paper. And what I'll do is that I'm actually going to sandwich this piece here because it has this lovely edge that I want to use. And not a lot of it's going to be visible, but just enough. But that's going to go, and that's just an edge die that I have in my stash. That's going to go right here, and it's going to serve as if it were almost like a piece of lace there, if you could picture that, and I'll explain in a moment. This is how I try to make something a little bit different. Okay, so she's going to be layered here. I've decided that I don't want to cover up that sentiment, so she'll be right there. I like the placement of that. Gonna place more adhesive. And you could also place dimensional adhesive on this, of course. I just have so many layers here going on that I'm just using the wet Scotch adhesive. And now the reason I wanted to place it that way is because I wanted to do the little cluster of flowers down here. So you see there how those will work together. And I think I like that. So I'm going to place this one here, and I did add a little vellum leaf to that. And those are the handmade flowers that I made using some dies and the Cricut. Okay, and that's in a separate video that I did recently. I've got a lot of these little pieces of hot glue here and there, but I'm going to add the little conversation heart that says you and me right up here. See, there we go. And I have this little heart here that I found that picks up a little bit of the same color as that camera, so I wanted to include that. And this is just from my stash here. Kind of want to layer that up. Actually, you know what? I'll put it right there. Alright, so there's that one. Because I have 1, 2, and 3, so there is sort of some balance there. Keyword sort of. Alright. And then I'm going to add the word love over here. And this is just another little die cut that I had that I really love because it's in gold, if you see that. Okay, so that's going to go right over here. And those are just the little details that unless you're really paying attention, you don't see them, but that's what I like to add to my cards. Now, I could call this done. I'm not quite sure, but I love it so far. I've got the little rosette there that I made with the raffia. I've got the little camera that I made. The elements of the paper that I like, as well as that edge that I think is just absolutely stunning. My little gorgeous girl image that I colored in, which was easy peasy, and then the rolled flowers, or you know, the handmade flowers. So this will be going in the mail to someone, and I might add a little sprinkle here or there of sequins, as I like to do, to add a little shine, and that will complete my card. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this step by step. Feel free to reach out to me, as I always say. My name is Raquel, and I'm paintsandglitter@gmail.com, or on my blog. I also have the website that I constantly forget to mention, and also as Encourage Arts on Facebook. I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. Have a great day. Bye.